Hello. Welcome on back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. Today we're going to have some fun. I want to play around with some new products, try out some different things. I'm going to keep the complexion really soft and pretty and wearable on our model Erica, but I want to play around with the eyeshadow and go for a pop of color. So without further ado, if you want to learn how I created this look right here, then keep on watching. So to begin, I'm using the CeraVe PM Facial Moisturizing Lotion to prep our model's skin with. This is something I've personally integrated into my own skincare routine lately, and I've been so happy with it. It's not an overly complicated product in terms of ingredients. It's simple, it's to the point, it doesn't have a whole bunch of fancy perfumes or anything, and my skin has been loving it. So I wanted to try it on someone else under their makeup to see how it performs, which goes to show you don't have to spend a lot of money on a good product. So once I have this massaged into the face, neck, and shoulders, I'm then using the Makeup Forever HD Skin Foundation and applying this on with a makeup sponge. I know some of you are going to ask, the sponge I'm using here is from She Glam, and the shade I'm using in this foundation is Y425. I chose this shade because it's 1 or 2 shades deeper than her face, but matches up perfectly with her chest and shoulders. So we're going to have that seamless transition between her face and body. I do enjoy working with this foundation because the formula itself has a like a medium coverage, but it's buildable, so you can really get a lot of coverage out of this if that's your goal. Our model today, Erica, has beautiful skin, so I'm more so using this to add a hint of color to the skin, but while keeping the coverage light and breathable. Next up, I'm using the shades in this Danessa Myricks Waterproof Cream palette to add some dimension around the perimeter of the face, such as the cheekbones, the jawline, and the forehead. I saw this young lady on TikTok the other day use this to contour and bronze with, and I was like, that looks really good. So I thought I'd had to try it out too. Plus, Danessa has some really incredible products, so I'm quite optimistic about this. I like applying on cream products with a smaller face or blush brush just to the general areas that I want the pigment in, and then I head back to the sponge I used earlier for the foundation and just diffuse out those edges for a seamless blend. I'm looking to keep the complexion really soft today since we are going a bit bold with the eyeshadow, so a little does it here. Once I have this blended, I'm then using the Lawless Conceal the Deal Concealer in the shade Shell to conceal and highlight the under eyes. You'll also see me use a little of this on the Cupid's bow, chin, center of the forehead, and down the center of the nose to highlight those areas as well. We kept the foundation light in coverage today, so I feel we can afford to go in with a little extra concealer without compromising the overall finish, even though this is a full coverage concealer. Although, I wouldn't say it's as full coverage as, let's say, the Jouer concealer or the Tarte Shape Tape concealer, but there's definitely coverage there, and it blends beautifully. In fact, if you're a woman or a man of a particular age, you've got fine lines and you're looking for something that doesn't make the under eyes look cakey, but you're still looking for that coverage, this one is worth looking into because it's very thin, hydrating, it has a silky consistency. I'll tell you what, next time you're in Sephora, swatch it, and I think you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Better yet, what I tell my clients to do when they're, swatching concealers at Sephora is to do it on their knuckles. It sounds silly, but just apply a little moisturizer or under eye cream first, then a bit of that concealer, blend it in. If you use powder under your eyes, then, set it with some powder, and while you're shopping around, see how it does. Our knuckles have those similar fine lines and movement as our under eyes do, so you'll get a good idea on how it wears and whether or not it settles into those fine lines and becomes cakey. So yeah, just a little trick. But moving right along, to set that concealer into place, I'm using the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Matte Setting Powder in the shade Banana, and using a large fluffy eyeshadow brush to lightly apply this to the under eye area to set that concealer into place. It's taking me some trial and error to figure out how to work with these powders. Because they are so mattifying, it's not a powder I like to bake with, and I've forgotten every single time that I've used this here on my channel. So today, I'm finally doing it some justice and using it in the way I should, in small doses. For the rest of the face, I'm using this Kosas Cloud Set powder and pressing this into the T-zone to not only set the foundation, but also to bring down a little bit of that shine. I've had these powders in almost every shade for a while now, and I didn't start using them until recently, and of course it's because of TikTok. TikTok is dangerous, man. I'm so easily influenced, but I've been seeing everyone use these, and I understand the hype now. It's a very, very sheer powder in terms of pigment. It looks amazing on the skin. It doesn't look cakey, and if you're someone who's a fan of, let's say, the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powders, you're really going to enjoy these as well. Next up, I'm taking the One Size Bronze and Sculpt palette in the shade Medium Trio and using this to reinforce the cream bronzer we used earlier and to add in a little extra dimension. I'm not being real precise with this. I'm not necessarily contouring, just adding in more warmth. So I'm using a large face brush to just press this pigment into the skin around the face. And the reason I like pressing this in rather than dragging and buffing it in with circular motions is because we haven't used a lot of powder around the perimeter of the face to set that foundation. So if I were to buff this in, it would drag and pick up the foundation, and we don't want that. So little by little, I'm pressing and tapping this in, building it up to achieve the effect I'm looking for. On to the next step, I'm using the Mercier Ultra Blur Loose Setting Powder to bake with underneath the eyes and along the jawline. Now, of course, this is optional, just like any step in this tutorial, because I know some of you don't like baking, but trust me on this one. Today, we're gonna need it. We're working with bright blue eyeshadows, and that's a color you definitely don't want falling down and ruining your complexion makeup. That's unless you do your eye makeup first, and that's a different story. But I wanted to try out this product anyways. It's a new powder from Laura Mercier, and I'm just curious to see how it performs, and we'll come back later to wipe this all off. But until then, I'm using the Patrick Ta Major Brow Defining Pencil in the shade Medium Brown and using this to lightly fill in Erica's brows with. This is also a new... I'm using a lot of new product today, if you haven't noticed. I'm just having fun with this and trying out new things today. But yeah, this is a new product. And as for this pencil, I'm just going to throw this out there and you can take it for whatever it's worth. I think, in my opinion, this is the best brow pencil I have used in a very long time. Maybe even better than the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz, but I'll explain why. The formula itself is similar in the sense that it's not too hard, it's not too soft, it's pigmented, it glides on, but the biggest difference here is the actual shape of it. It's not rounded, it's actually a sharp rectangular kind of shape, which allows you to get precise hair-like strokes that look extremely realistic. I've been using the shade of dark brown on myself along with their gel, which you'll also see me use next on Erica, and I've been so happy with the results. Alright, so here's where I go in with the Patrick Ta Major Brow Lamination Gel that I was speaking of a second ago, and I'm running this through her brow hairs. I like running this product in the opposite direction the hairs grow in, just to get them, you know, like fully saturated with the product before styling them back down into the direction I want them to set in. Another great product here, it's workable, has strong hold, and it's true to its name. It does give that laminated brow effect. Overall, I'm just really happy with how the brows turned out today. I didn't overdo it. They look natural and fluffy, yet still polished and groomed. Now to begin on the eyes, I'm using this About Face shadow stick in the shade Kill the Lights and gliding this across the complete upper lid, from the lash line all the way up to the crease. Don't stress yourself out about, getting this perfectly placed, because we're going to blend out the edges anyways with a brush to get that smoky effect. And we'll do the very same thing for the lower lash line. This is just the base for what's to follow, which is that bold blue color. Once we have this pigment softened, I'm using this About Face Matte Fluid Eye Paint in the shade No Queen Blues and placing this right on top of that black eyeshadow pencil. I've been wanting to use this, so I'm finally going for it today. I do have some thoughts on this, which I'll share in a second, but the reason I like to apply a black pigment underneath a color like this bright blue is because I find it gives it more depth, which I really like. And once I have this eye paint applied, I'll begin diffusing out the pigment, just as I had done with the black eyeshadow stick. I'm creating the overall shape I'm looking to achieve here before we go in with the bright blue eyeshadow next. So if you like a really winged out eye shape, then don't be afraid to blend this outwards. Or if you like, a more rounded, more doe-eyed style, then you can keep this placement more towards the center. You can really make it your own and customize it to your liking. For eyeshadow, I'm using this bright blue color from the Huda Beauty Sapphire Obsessions eyeshadow palette and pressing this onto the lid. I'm not sure if they sell this palette anymore. If not, there are a lot of options out there for a bright blue shadow like this, or you might already have one, but I'm really building this up to be, quite opaque, which is also why I placed that powder underneath the eyes. If we have any fallout, it'll just sit on top of the powder and we'll be able to wipe it right off without ruining the complexion makeup. But still, I'm going to try to be as careful as possible with this because blues can be very tricky to work with. To diffuse out the edges, I'm dipping into this baby blue color from the same palette and using this to blend out the edges little by little. And by the way, I'm going to use the same shades in a second for the lower lash line as well. But yeah, as I was saying, blues are tricky to work with. In fact, I think they're the most difficult color to work with, at least in my experience, which is probably why you never see me do blue eyeshadow looks. I think I've only done one on my channel, and that was when I first started, so it's been a while. And this isn't to scare you away from using blues, like it can be done, but if I were you and you were recreating this look, here's what I would do differently. I wouldn't use that blue eye paint I used before this. It's too liquidy of a base, and that's not the brand's fault. It's totally my bad. Something like that is better for eyeliner and doing looks that require precision, but for something like this, a cream pigment is better. It's more opaque, you'll have more control with the blend, and you'll get a more diffused result with the edges. So if you have, for example, the Mario lip palette, there's a blue lipstick in there that you could use, or you can use the blue in that Makeup Forever flash color case. There are a lot of different options, but cream is for sure the way to go. It'll make it easier for you because trust me, from what you're seeing, I'm making this look easy, but in reality, off camera, I'm spending a lot of time trying to blend this in, and the blend still turns out looking a little crazy, but what can I do? I live and learn, and we gotta move on. So next up, I'm taking this Kohl eyeliner pencil from MAC in the shade Smolder and running this through the waterline, and also using this to tight line the upper lash line. I was gonna run a blue eyeliner through the waterline, but I don't know. I think my luck has run out by this point with the blues, so I opted for the black. But you can use whatever color you'd like. And honestly, I'm kind of glad it worked out this way. I think the black gives it more drama, makes it more sultry, and it's more wearable. Whereas a bright blue in the waterline would compete against the blue eyeshadow, and it could have been just, too much. You know what I'm saying? It would have given a more retro editorial twist to this, which is also a vibe, but I'm really happy with how this all worked out. So real quick, I'm going to use this Benefit Roller Lash Mascara and apply this to the upper and bottom lashes. No falsies today, just a little mascara to keep the look modern and clean. And once I've finished up here, I'll use the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Powder Blush in the shade Mellow Mauve and apply this right onto the apples of her cheeks and sweep it back towards the temples. The placement, along with the shade I chose here, is kind of giving me 90s vibes, which I'm totally into. I think it works and it looks really pretty on Erica. It's funny, as I watch this footage, I have to do a double take sometimes because there are moments she reminds me of Zendaya. Don't you think? I don't know. Maybe I'm just going crazy, which is quite possible. Okay, now to begin on the lips, I'm heading back to the Danessa Myricks Cream Waterproof palette that we had just used earlier and using the shades in this to line the borders of her lips with. Of course, you can use a lip liner if you like, but I just wanted to keep it easy, and I like the shades in this palette. And once I have this built up to my liking, I'm then taking a clean blending brush to diffuse out the edges for that more worn in, not so perfect look. In that palette, there's a brighter pale shade, and I'm placing that right in the center of the lip before I apply gloss. At this point, I'm fully committing to that 90s lip style, and this will give us that contrast that was quite popular then. For gloss, I'm using this Nova Beauty lip gloss in the shade Moody and placing this right on top. Now we can see the magic come to life here in this lip combo. Looking at that gloss alone, you'd think it looked too dark or saturated, but that plum color pigment is so sheer, so it complements the other lip products and brings everything to a whole other level. I mean, that's a really pretty lip combo, if I don't say so myself. In the moment while I was filming this, I didn't care for it so much. I didn't, but there's a backstory to that. I thought it had too much of a cool undertone, so to counteract that, I grabbed this bright reddish orange lipstick and added that in. I forgot the name of this shade, but it's also from Nova Beauty. I'll list it down below. But anyway, as I was saying, I was thinking to myself in this moment, this lip color has a really cool undertone to it. What's going on? Well, I have blue glasses on, like blue lenses, this whole time, and I had completely forgotten that they were on. Like, what a mess. But with blue glasses on or not, we've made it to the final step, which is using the new MAC Fix Plus Stay Over Alcohol-Free Setting Spray to set and lock this makeup into place, which makes this the final product in how I created this glam on our naturally gorgeous model. There we have it, kids. I hope y'all enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, be sure to give this video a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also check out more of my work on my Instagram at Painted by Spencer. And until next time, I'll see you soon.